Hello folks, a hermit here down below the Cloister at Three Creeks, and it's a cloudy day. It's April 21st, and this is a sad place I just found. I've never been quite this location before, and it's near a tiny little graveyard of early settlers that lived in the valley of the Cloister at Three Creeks. But this is a graveyard too. It's a hemlock graveyard. Hemlocks are evergreens. I'm going to turn around so that I can make sure I'm pointing at the right stuff, but this is a place where every one of these little brown stumps, every one of the fallen trees that you see here, they're all hemlocks. And there is not a single living hemlock here. The hemlock woolly adelgid, just to look up in the canopy, you can see nothing is an evergreen tree. We've got a few oaks, we've got a few, there's sweet birch, there's tulip poplar, and there's a few hickories. And there's a whole lot of small understory trees. The hemlock woolly adelgid came through here in, I don't know, 10, 15, more like probably 20 or 30 years ago. Killed every one of these trees, and 90% of the hemlocks in the valley of the Cloister at Three Creeks. There are some that have lived, but none here. Hemlock graveyard of ground cover that humans planted in their human graveyard. I forget the name of these plants, but they flower later in the year, and they've created a ground cover that's crowded out pretty much everything else in the area, but it's kind of pretty, and it was planted here to accompany this small little cemetery that we're coming up to here on the crown of the hill. And this is a typical pioneer cemetery deep in the woods of Appalachia. All the stones, except a few, are really just stones. Some of them may have been written on. You can see the sinkholes where the graves have fallen in, so they buried their people in boxes. But these people were tough people and lived in a very tough place to settle, and the result was failure. They never, probably by the time of the depression, they were done in this valley. They tried to farm, they even built terraces in places and rock fences in places, but it was doomed to failure. The soil was just not conducive. Okay, compensating for the graveyard scenes, I had to show you Geranium Hill. This is the hermit. I'm down below the Cloister at Three Creeks, and it's a gloomy, cloudy April 21st, but this is Geranium Hill. This place just covered with the wild geraniums. Beautiful. They're clearly at their peak, and the older flowers kind of turn blue, the younger flowers look like purple. It's a beautiful color in all of its forms. Geranium Hill, down below the Cloister at Three Creeks, maybe a quarter mile. All right, the hermit signing out. Bye-bye. And not to be outdone by Geranium Hill, the ruin enemies have their bank. Ruin enemy grows only in this one small little area as far as I know. I've not found them anywhere else in the vicinity of the Cloister at Three Creeks. Very pretty, very delicate foliage. Wish I had more of them. What a wonderful spot. Ruin enemy bank. Down below the Cloister at Three Creeks, but we're getting close. Probably only a few hundred yards. Bye-bye. Okay, looking for more happiness on this gloomy day down at the lower end of the Cloister at Three Creeks. Little waterfall and a very healthy looking cluster of May apples. Oh, they're beautiful umbrellas. Open to the sky now, and I'm just waiting for them to bloom. Let's see what we can find underneath here. Looking for, yeah, flower bud and flower bud. They should be blooming in a few days. Love the May apples. They were so abundant in the woods where I lived when I was a kid. And here they're a little bit more. I've said this before, I think, but deer love these things. And so deer browsing, over browsing, which is another one of the sad stories of the forest, has reduced their numbers in many areas. But they cling on in these colonies. Hermit down below the Cloister at Three Creeks in Mayapple Valley. Bye-bye. Okay, Hermit here at the Cloister at Three Creeks, and featuring early meadow rue. Another, I guess the rue must have something to do with the foliage being delicate. I don't know, but what a delicate plant. And this one is a female and just the tiniest little delicate female flowers. There we are. And early meadow rue doesn't have showy flowers. They just pollinate through the air, through the wind. And guess who's the host of the early meadow rue? They're growing all around the feet of good old St. Francis. April 21st, and this is my slowpoke bud. I looked at this bud 5 minutes ago, and I was going to do a video saying my slowpoke has its first leaf showing, but it's still stuck in its sheath. Well, it almost must be visibly moving, because 10 minutes ago, that tip, this spot right here, was down stuck in the sheath. So I guess we're really rolling along into spring now. The slowpoke is unfurling her first leaf. Okay, Hermit at the Cloister at Three Creeks on this dreary 21st of April, looking for happiness. And this is making me really happy. Okay, take care, bye-bye. Okay, and just for comparison, I just took the video of my slowpoke. This is a precocious one. The leaves that's come out are, you know, the leaves, individual leaves are 4 or 5 inches across, the whole bud and leaf complex. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leaves. And yeah, I mean, you can see the forest in general is full of tulip poplars with crowns that are fully greened up, and my slowpoke is just catching up. All right, that's it. April 21st, dreary day. Bye-bye. Okay, doing the happy search on this dreary April 21st. It's actually trying to clear up a little bit, but this happy search, we're down by Stony Creek on the Cloister at Three Creeks, and I'm the hermit. And this feature is the wood anemone, and I tend to say anemone, but it's anemone, and it's Anemoides quercifolia, because the original identifier way back when thought it had 5 leaves, and many of the varieties do, but this one has no sign of that sort of split 3rd and 4th leaf, or 2nd and 3rd leaf. It really is a 3-leaf anemone, but it's called the 5-leaf anemone, but it's really called the wood anemone. And growing with it, here we got the tall, stretching up white violets that are the Canadian violets, Viola canadensis, and we have one lonely yellow round leaf violet. Okay, Hermit here with another video. This may be the most I've ever taken. This yellow thing is common, and unfortunately I haven't been able to identify it. Beautiful tall yellow flowers with highly serrated looking leaves, and this is a great example of it. So I'm actually going to do a little 50-foot hike here, and why am I taking so many videos, and why am I jerking the camera around so much? Because I'm basically a camera jerk. Okay, I'm recording so many videos today because that Hemlock Graveyard that I visited, the first video I took today, that really depressed me. And it reminded me of all the other problems that we have in the forest. The hemlock woolly adelgid came through and just decimated the hemlock populations here 30 years ago or something like that, based on the evidence. Emerald ash borer has just come through and is still killing almost all the ash trees in the area. Of course, we had the chestnut blight, and now we are having oak decline. And I mean, there's other problems too. Dogwoods have a fungus. It just goes on and on. It was so depressing to me thinking about all those dead trees. I mean, I'm passing under many oaks that are suffering. So I have missed my turn. Since taking that video and being so depressed, I have been looking for a little happy places, and I'm gonna come to one last one here, maybe the last one. Never know with me. I gotta do an odd number, and I may be up to 9, who knows, maybe even 11. In any case, the destination for this 50-foot hike is coming right up, and it's a happy place. Like most of my happy places, it combines more than one feature. So here we are, and I mean, I haven't featured hickory buds. Hickories are budding out, and they start out kind of red, and I'm going to pair this with some shots of some really red hickory sheaves, the covering buds. Second, white flowering cherry. It's already making its cherries. So white flowering cherry has so many leaves out, it's almost shading the ground, but you can see the sun is coming out. So that's kind of happy thing number 3. But the main reason for this post is this particular white flowering cherry just has the most precious bark pattern. My favorite bark anywhere on the Cloister at Three Creeks. Just love it. Okay, I think that was all I was going to show. I've been doing some trail building and just roaming around as always right here on the Cloister at Three Creeks. And for a little bit of orientation, I'm down below the Six Trail Junction, where the ancient first peoples gathered, and in my bogus story, came from six different directions to have a powwow. Hermit at the 6 cairns of the Six Trail Junction. This is the place where I took the very first video with this good HD camera. And maybe I'll share that because it was a joke. It was fun. The Six Trail Junction, another happy place for the hermit on this increasingly bright April 21st. Take care. Bye-bye. Happy place number X+1. This is the most precocious, fastest budding of the 7 American chestnuts that grow on the grounds of the Cloister at Three Creeks. It is making me happy to see everything budding out and see everything being so happy. It's actually a great day for taking videos in this flat light, what I've been calling a dreary day. Hermit again, Cloister at Three Creeks. Video number X+Y. Who knows? I'm going for a record here. But this is to pair with the early meadow rue female flowers I showed over at the St. Francis statue. This is the male flowers with the heavy drooping pollen sacs, and yeah, much more pollen they put out than most flowers, because as I said, they do not use pollinators, insects. They simply let the wind carry the pollen, just like oak trees and hickory trees do. And the other one, the females, were at St. Francis, and these are at Our Lady of the Loudwater. The males are being watched over by our female, and the females are being watched over by our male. The hermit looking for more happy places and finding more and more. It's wonderful. I'm so happy. Bye-bye. Hermit here overlooking Stony Creek, and second favorite, distant second really, in terms of bark on trees at the Cloister at Three Creeks, is the striped maple, Acer Pennsylvanicum. And this one is right next to Stony Creek. And they rarely grow more than small shrubs. This is about as big as they get, a little bit bigger. And they are flowering. And there's an example of the flowers, and an example of a cool still shot I'll show you is in that crook of 2 giant old chestnut oaks is a typical sized striped maple, and they really don't get a lot bigger than that. Don't really know why, but that's the case. Okay, that's happy post number who knows what, and another couple more beyond that. Bye-bye. Okay, another teeny little happy place video. This is sweet birch. And if you break off leaves and crush them and smell them, they have the exact same chemical in them that the little wintergreen berries, they're also called tea berries, They grow an inch high off the ground, little round green leaves that are evergreen and produce red berries that bears like, and they're great tasting. Well, it's convergent evolution. The smell of that chemical apparently deters insects and or deer or browsing or whatever, and they don't like it. So a tree, the sweet birch, uses it, and a little ground cover evergreen. Totally unrelated plants creating the same chemical, and that chemical is actually related to aspirin. It's a salicylic acid, and so it's probably a pretty healthy little chemical. I love chewing wintergreen berries, and I love smelling the smell of the sweet birch too. Alright, that's all. That's another Happy Place video. The Hermit at the Cloister at Three Creeks, just above Stony Creek. Take care. Okay, holding down some sweet birch in bloom, sending out their flowers. Very pretty. To accompany the sweet birch video I did a little earlier. Okay, another happy video. Dogwood. It's just in full bloom. Love the natural white flowering dogwoods. It's been one of the trees that I've really paid attention to and loved since I was a kid, like the tulip poplar. And yeah, they're at their peak. So happy the Hermit nearby to the Cloister at Three Creeks with his dogwoods. Take care. Bye-bye. Okay, nothing says happy like buttercups. First sighting of blooming buttercups. Awesome. Happy. That's all. Hermit down below the Cloister at Three Creeks. Bye-bye. Alright, going for video number 17. I'm going to make sure we get 17. 17 is kind of a magic number for me. Among other things related to the 17-year cicada, which is abundant in this area. We're in the brood 10 area, I believe. So, last but not least, video 17, the oaks. And I'm going to share with you a bunch of oak pictures of budding oaks. The oaks are budding and flowering, and this is my landmark red oak here at the Cloister at Three Creeks. And that is all for the 17 posts, from depressing to happy Hermit at the Cloister at Three Creeks. Bye-bye.